What's good, everybody? My name is Malachi Jones. Welcome back to the Powered by Christ podcast. And today I'm featuring a special guest. And who am I here with today?
Jalen Benny.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what's up. Okay. And today, without further ado, the topic that was chosen is going to be addictions. And this is a very important topic to me, addictions, because I feel like it's something that not only a lot of people struggle with, but it's also something that a lot of families struggle with, a lot of groups struggle with. Lust is just something that's very strong in this generation. And we're going to be diving deeper into that in this podcast video, in this podcast audio, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be covering that whole entire topic. So I'm going to start with the first verse, and then we're going to me and Jalen are going to exchange verses back and forth. So the first verse that I'm going to start with that I wrote is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. And it says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Okay, so I'm going to explain what I just read because I don't want to just give y'all the verse without backing it up. So in my opinion, I feel like any temptation that has overtaken mankind, whether that be lust, gluttony, whatever, the case may be, it's not the first person that it's happened to. It's not the first time that it's happened either, meaning that it's happened to multiple people. That's why it says no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, meaning that we see this often. And then the next part goes on to say that God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, meaning that God stays with us through the temptation, meaning that yes, we will be tempted, but that doesn't mean we have to give in. Yes, we will be tempted, but the temptation will be so strong that there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. And then the last part of that verse goes on to say, "But when you're tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." That means to me that God will provide an escape route for us whenever we're being tempted. We won't just be tempted with our back against the wall and no exit doors. No, God provides exit doors for us. God provides ways out. God provides places to run to, places of freedom. God provides places for us of shelter, places of peace, places that lead us away from temptation. So
the first verse that I've chosen is Romans chapter 6, verse 12. "Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body so that you obey its evil desires." And to explain on that, when you pray, every time you pray, you should be asking God for forgiveness. We all sin, whether you know it or not, you sin. But if you're not asking for forgiveness, that sin stays in you. That sin stays with you. And as the verse says, it stays in your mortal body. When something is in you and it's on you, you're going to continue to act in that. So if sin is still with you, you're going to continue to obey its evil desires instead of waking up, praying away the sin, going to sleep, praying away the sin, even before you eat, praying away any sin or evil intentions that may have been planned on beforehand. So I think it's just very important to keep in mind that just because you think you didn't sin in a day, you never know what you could have did or what you could have done or something you could have said that could have been a sin. So it's always good to ask for that forgiveness. Even if you know 100% I did not sin today, you never know what little bit of sin or evilness is planning on grabbing you and could really sink into your mortal body. So it's good to ask God to heal you and remove all of that so that you don't have to worry about ever straying away from that path.
Right, and I feel like touching on that too, relating to what Jalen said, I feel like the part where you were talking about whenever we feel like we didn't sin, whenever we feel like we go a whole day without sinning, there's stuff that we miss, but there's stuff that God didn't miss, meaning that throughout that day, there's stuff that we may not have paid attention to, that we may have said or did, or that we may have said or done, or what we watched or where we went, but God paid attention to it and God saw it, and God is waiting for us with open arms from him to come back to him. So I feel like although we are not always mindful of what we do throughout the day, what we say throughout the day, what we watch, what we eat, what we do with our bodies, how we treat our bodies, our temples, I feel like God sees it all and God is waiting for us to come back to him because he doesn't want sin to rule the way that we live. So
Right.
And then I'm gonna kind of dive into the next verse because we each have three different verses on this topic. And the next verse that I wrote was James chapter 4, verses 7, and it says, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil and he will flee from you." This verse is self-explanatory, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Submit yourself to God. This doesn't just go for addiction, but this goes for any situation, any difficult situation, whether you're between a rock and a hard place, whatever situation you may find yourself in that you feel like you can't get yourself out of, just know that God can get you out of it. And all you have to do, all that this verse is telling you to do, is to submit yourselves to God, to resist the devil and he will flee from you. Resist the devil, moments of temptation, moments of addiction, resist the devil, moments of, letting evil words flow out of your mouth, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. Submit to God and resist the devil. In times where the devil is just coming at your mind and trying to attack your mind and having a field day in your mind with all these negative thoughts. It goes for this verse right here. Submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee. As simple as that. So that's really all to say to that, especially times where you find yourself battling addiction. And to add on to more of what I just said, this is the last thing I'm gonna say on this verse. Addiction is not to be battled. Addiction is to be fleed from. Because when you battle addiction, that means that you're constantly going back and forth with it. You're wrestling with it. And the more that you wrestle with addiction, the more you're going to stay in it, the more you're going to stay with it. So instead of wrestling with addiction and battling addiction, run from addiction. Do whatever you can to put it out of your life, whatever it is that you may be dealing with.
Just to quickly touch on something that Malachi said, when it comes to getting the devil to flee or fleeing from things that seem like the devil is trying to throw them in your way, you never know what could be from the devil. The same way God gives us tests to overcome and grow and be better so that we can get to our blessings, the devil is going to give us a test to keep us away from our blessings.
Right.
It's like walking down a road and seeing a split. One of those paths leads to the devil trying to lure you away from the other path, which is God trying to elevate you and bring you to a blessing. So to get into my verse, Proverbs chapter 23, verse 32, in the end it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper. And to kind of bounce off what Malachi just said to help me explain this, addiction, when you battle it, you're feeding into the energy of it. Many people, when they the term for fleeing addiction that most people are most familiar with is cold turkey, stopping cold turkey. But I feel like, as Malachi just stated, when you battle, you're giving into it. And as this verse says, it ends like a snake and poisons like a viper. So the longer you actually fight with it and actually give it time, more time you're giving for that snake to bite and for it to sink in. And addiction, whether you've seen it physically, experienced it, or you've seen family and friends go through it, you know that it causes a lot of damage. So if you don't quit cold turkey or stop cold turkey or run from it, then as this verse states, it poisons like a viper. And sometimes it doesn't only just affect you, it affects loved ones, friends, people around you, innocent people.
Yeah, addiction can affect everybody. Relating to what you just said, like, I feel like we're not meant to sit there and entertain the addiction. We're not meant there to wrestle with it. We're not meant to sit there and battle with it. We're meant to run from it, flee from it, escape from it, get away from it. Because that's something that's very strong in my family. Not most of my family, but that's something that's very strong on my biological father's side of the family. Is he dealt with addiction. He dealt with the process of like breaking chains, but he wasn't very successful in it. I don't know if y'all have heard the song "Break Every Chain" by Tasha Cobbs, but that's the song I play every single morning when I wake up. First I pray, and then I play "Break Every Chain" by Tasha Cobbs. And then it's just like my dad, he dealt with strong addiction for most of his life. He dealt with a strong desire for lust, a strong lustful addiction most of his life. And it wasn't until after he had passed away in 2022, mind y'all, I was 16 at the time. It wasn't until after the fact of his death that I realized and found out that his lust addiction was that bad. So that's definitely something to be praying other people about. That's definitely something to be praying over yourselves about, that we don't get caught up in that. Because lust is like quicksand. I feel like that's a good analogy. Lust is just like quicksand. The more you entertain lust, the more you will sink in it. I'm not gonna say without a helping hand, because God is your helping hand, but it's gonna be slower to come out of lust than you went in. So, Jalen, you got anything on that?
Yes, but I want to save it till after my next verse because it ties into my next verse.
Right. So I'll just say my last verse right now. My last verse that I said was 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. I have the right to do anything, he said, but not everything is beneficial. Was your verse similar?
That's the exact same verse. The exact
That's
same
crazy.
verse.
That's crazy. Yeah, I love 1 Corinthians. I have the right to do anything. I will not be mastered by anything. So we might as well just both talk about this because we got the same thing.
Well, can I start it off?
Yeah, go ahead.
As you were saying with addiction and if we're getting personal with addiction, I feel like this verse right here relates to our generation so much because I feel like nowadays everybody rushes to be grown.
That was me at one point. I'm not gonna lie, that was me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it wasn't me too, but I think I find myself a lot now looking back and like really regretting not doing a lot of things or not slowing down. And now that I'm at this point where I'm grown, not grown but on my own, it's like you really feel isolated elevated and you really start to sink. But connecting it back to the verse, I have the right to do anything. A lot of people in our generation feel like because now they're going off to college or getting jobs, getting their own apartments, doing stuff, they have the right to drink, smoke, be lustful, do whatever. And as it says, but not everything is beneficial. Some people don't realize, and sometimes you don't realize until it's too late, that doing all of these things isn't helping. Like, not only does it slowly take you away from God, it also deteriorates your body. A lot of these things that people, a lot of these things that people run and get addicted to are not of God. He didn't put them here for you to use them the way that you're using them, or he didn't put them here at all. They were man-made, or the devil helped create them and push them. And as it says, I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything.
That's deep. That's really deep.
Yes. I feel like the easiest way to make this make sense is, I don't know if this happened with you when you were younger in school. In my school, a lot of people would vape, and the quote-unquote cool thing to do would, if you could do tricks with vapes or do little smoke circles or whatever. And I found it so pointless that you're becoming a master essentially in something that's destroying you. Like, that stuff it's not like you smoke it and you get 10 more years of life. It takes away 10 years off your life. People try to become masters in things that aren't beneficial. My father told me last semester during college, free time should be used to master things that are going to help you. You should be using your free time for things that are going to either help you down.
I'm gonna write that down.
You should be using your free time for things that are going to help you in the future, or for things that can help you right now. You shouldn't be using your free time to it's okay to sit and chill, but your free time shouldn't be used to do anything that is harmful to you or yourself, others, family. And the way people have to start conducting themselves when it comes to addiction is, sometimes it's hard to get out of that selfish mindset of maybe you're doing this because you feel like it helps you cope, or it feels like it helps you with this, and the third.
You have to think about a lot of people's mindsets when they're doing their addiction, is that it helps me cope, it helps me feel better, it boosts my ego.
You have to start thinking about the people around you. How is your mother, father, friends, family gonna feel when it's 20-30 years down the line and you're still struggling with this addiction? And a lot of addictions, it's noticeable. Like, you physically start to change. So it's not like there's no addiction that you can hide. Addictions have a physical appearance, and even if it's not a physical appearance, your mannerisms start to change. So these are things that are noticeable. And then you also have to think about it from a religious standpoint of, regardless of how you live your life, we all have to stand in front of God and either confess our sins or own up to our sins, or be able to say, God, I did this, and this wrong. Please forgive me. If you live a life where you just let your addiction push you over the edge, it's gonna be a lot harder to sit and tell God, I did that and I'm sorry, when you had all of this time to clean yourself up. And that's all I'll say on that. I'll let Malachi get some words in on the verse.
I'm still writing down. Wow, dang, that was very deep what you just said, and I find that very interesting how we both had the same last verse. 1 Corinthians 6:12.
1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you. Oh, you said that one?
I did. Okay, so there's this one verse I was reading from. It's in 1 John, and it's 1 John 2:16. 1 John 2:16. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. That kind of ties into addiction too, because it talks about like our focus. What is our focus? Our focus at the time. Lusting, our focus is the lust of the flesh. Our focus is lusting with our eyes. Our focus is being prideful with everything that we have, everything God has given to us, that big house, that nice car, like a whole bunch of money, multiple women. Like, this all ties into addictions, because addictions isn't just lust. Addictions is wanting. Dylan, you think addictions is constantly wanting more and more something too?
Yes, I feel like, and when I say that, addictions can be positive and negative. You can be addicted to something that's good for you, but it can have a bad outcome on your life. Like, you could love your job so much that you're addicted to it. Like, you love going to work, but you go to work so much that it's taken away from your time with your family, your friends, and things like that. It's not harming anybody that you're going to work, but when you get to be 60, 70, 80, and you look back and it's like, I punched in all these hours at this job.
You prioritize that over your family.
Right, and it's like, you missed your son growing up. You missed
your daughter growing up.
You might have missed a couple anniversaries, like a
couple weddings, you know?
Yeah, so addictions can be a good and a bad thing. You can be addicted to things that are good, but they still have some type of negative attachment. There's no addiction that doesn't come with some type of negative.
Exactly. There's other addictions that are common besides lust. Are you aware of what gluttony is? Addiction addiction to gluttony, like you're always eating. Like
I feel like that's something big because here in we live in the U.S. The U.S. is kind of known for having an overweight problem, having people always want more. It's the supply rarely ever meets the demand. I feel like gluttony is a real big problem here in the U.S. Not that it's not a problem in other places, but I feel like here specifically, it is something that you could look at and be like, it's a problem.
Also, Jalen, do you have in your opinion, what addiction, is there a certain addiction that you think is the worst out of them all? This could be something that any given person struggles with.
Something I've seen recently is, you can tell me if I need to give you another answer. Addiction to lying. I need to elaborate a little bit.
Elaborate.
It's some people who, I have a friend back home. I'll call them up, check, see how they're doing. I might ask them something. They'll tell me something, and I'll think it's true. 2-3 weeks ago, I'll call another friend up and I'll kind of run that story by them, and they'll be like, oh no, that's not true. So it's sometimes people lie so much that they start to believe their lies. Even they could be caught red-handed in their lies, but they're so, it's like you said earlier, the tongue is powerful.
Yeah.
You can speak stuff into existence. So if you say something enough times, you're going to believe it. So whether it's the truth or a lie.
You think even if it's something positive, think it'll come to truth?
Yes, I've seen it happen.
Definitely.
College, for example. When I was applying to college, I wanted to go to a school in Florida, preferably in Florida, that had film major. And I kept saying it. I was getting rejected to all the big schools that had film. And one day, my college and career advisor comes to me, tells me, apply to UNF. They have a film minor. So I did it thinking, okay, I'm not going to go to UNF. They have a film minor. I want to be a major.
Right.
We came here for a tour, and the person who's giving us our tour tells us, oh no, it can be a major for some kids. You just have to go through a process to get it done. And then I called the people, talked to them, and then applied. And then when I came here over the summer, I went and talked. And the process you have to go through to become a film major isn't even that hard. It's quick paper, and that's the point. But because I kept speaking, I want to go to a film school. And notice how I said I didn't even want to come here at first, but because I still trusted the process and applied anyway.
Trusted God too.
Yep, because I could have been like, oh, I'm not gonna do it, and then the application deadline would have passed. I would have came here for that tour, and when I would have saw, oh, it could be a major for some kids, and then who knows where I'd be right now.
Yeah. Do you feel like that was all a part of his plan?
Yes, I feel like the reason I feel like it's a part of his plan is he's taught me a lot since I've been going to UNF, and I feel like if I would have went to any other college, I wouldn't be as close to him as I am now. I feel like coming to UNF pushed me closer and closer to him. Because
was there something specific, or is it just college in general?
It was certain tests he put me through, and the funny thing is, I can say in every semester I've been in, my summer semester, fall semester, and now my spring semester, I've met at least one person who was religious. I've met at least one.
That's amazing, bro.
So that's why I say it was a part of his plan, because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe things happen to happen. I believe there's always a plan, whether God's plan, somebody else planned it, the devil's planning, and I feel like the fact that I've gotten closer to him and I've met at least one religious person every semester, it's his plan.
It is. It sure is. I had one more question. Is there any other unpopular addictions? Because there was one that I had in mind, actually. Addiction to social media, addiction to cell phone. That's something I caught myself struggling with lately. I'll be on Instagram and TikTok scrolling more than some time with God. It's definitely a problem. Cause I had limits on my phone. You know how you can put limits on apps. So I put limits on my apps, but sometimes the limit pops up and the app is no longer available for use. I just skip the limit and just keep scrolling. I feel like that's a problem, because I don't need to keep scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, because what else in the world is more important than that?
I feel like that's an amazing example of an addiction, because you saw how everybody for 10 to 12 hours TikTok was down and people acted like their lives were over.
Yeah.
Over an app. But I can almost guarantee you, if the church 2-3 blocks down from them closed down for 2-3 Sundays,
the reaction wouldn't be as heavy.
Yeah, people might just shrug their shoulders. Granted, because the truly religious people who go to church, they'd probably just go to the next church 4 or 5 blocks down. But the people who don't go to church, or they attend online, which is nothing wrong with attending online, they probably just shrug their shoulders and go right back on their phone or something. I feel like this is something I talked to my dad about, that the addiction to your phone and to electronics is something we seriously need to work on. It's a difference between being on social media for entertainment and being on social media to be productive. Because you can learn stuff on social media, but if you're not using it for that, then there's no reason why when when, I don't know if you've seen when Apple does the breakdown of your weekly hours. There's no reason why majority of your hours should be going to TikTok, Instagram, and stuff like that, and you're not using it to be productive. Or even if you are using it to be entertaining, I feel like it should be a balance. As much time as you're giving to these apps to be entertaining, you should be giving to God or something productive.
Yeah, I feel like we should all be giving it to, like, if it's not social media, then we should be giving it to like our crafts, or like our hobbies, or other things that we have interest in. Like, another way that we can use social media besides using it to, you know what I'm saying, just scroll or fry our brains or just waste time. Like, another thing that we can use social media for is, you know what I'm saying, promote our clothing brand, promote our music, promote our homies who are doing something big.
Right now, I feel like, I'm gonna just say it because I'm in that spirit. Right now, I feel like social media should be used to promote our people right now. Not because it's our month every month, but I feel like right now, if you're woke, or not even, you don't even have to be woke, you could be dead asleep and still see what's going on. So I feel like right now, we should be promoting our people and pushing our agenda. Everybody's agenda is different, but if you're really with the cause, then we all have at least 2-3 bullet points that are the same. And I feel like regardless of, freedom of speech is a thing, so regardless of what your agenda is or what it is, I feel like push whatever your agenda is, promote whatever your agenda is. I feel like the one thing I don't want to happen when I pass, I don't want to pass knowing that I didn't do everything I could for the next generation. That's my thing. I don't want to pass not knowing I didn't do everything I could for the next generation, or that I didn't fulfill God's purpose for me. Because we're not put here, or God doesn't just put us here for no reason. He puts us here to do something, whether you know it or not. It's a lot of people. I'll put it like this. I heard something scrolling on social media one day, and it was really smart. Nobody knows how long you have. All you know is whatever contract you signed with God, you can't leave a day earlier or a day later. So whatever contract you signed, if you signed 25, 30, 50 years, you're gonna be here for 50 years on the dot. Not 50 years in a day, or
not 51, not 52,
not 49 years and a couple. No, you're gonna be here for 50 years exactly.
Can I add on to that too?
Go ahead.
I heard a quote similar to that. I think it was Denzel Washington, but I could be wrong. But it was something that he said where it was like, on your deathbed, is all the angels around your deathbed. Each angel is representing the action you never took a risk on. They're representing the dreams that you had, but you never fulfilled. You never acted on because you were too worried about what other people thought of you, instead of the one who made you's opinion.
Right. And I feel like with that, like you said, the one who made you's opinion. One of those things that you didn't do, it could have been what he put you here for, because you were so worried about what everybody else thought. You missed out on fulfilling your purpose.
And I feel like you never know how far you'll go in something until you try. Right. And I feel like that goes for anything. Dylan, what do you think is like good tactics to either get rid of the addiction or kind of like decrease the addiction?
First off,
definitely praying.
Yeah, I was gonna say talk to God. First off, talk to God, and then whatever the addiction is, block yourself away from it. And then also, when you're trying to go cold turkey on an addiction, slow down on your phone, because as we stated earlier, the devil is gonna throw things to try to tempt you to do the wrong thing. So if you're trying to quit an addiction, all of a sudden that addiction is gonna be all over your phone, and that's the only thing you're gonna see. So ease back from it, and don't be one of those people who, there's nothing wrong with admitting you have an addiction. Don't be one of those people who's so prideful that you can't admit it.
Do you feel like we all have an addiction to something, or do you feel like it's just some people? What's your perspective on that?
Like I said earlier, you can be addicted to good things and you can be addicted to bad things. So I feel like we're all addicted to something. I know me, because I feel like you've heard me talk about it several times about generational wealth and trying to help generations. I'm addicted to trying to help future generations. Whatever I can do, I'm gonna do it. Like, my agenda is for the next generation. And I feel like that's what my purpose is to build the foundation and the building and the stairs so that the next generation could just take off. And that's something that I'm 100% okay laying my life out for. So I feel like you can be addicted to things that are good, you can be addicted to things that are bad. We're all addicted to something, whether you know it or not. And that's why I said admitting you have an addiction, there's nothing wrong with that, because everybody's addicted to something. It just takes a different type of person to actually say, I'm addicted.
I feel like that's like where the real boldness comes in, when we own up to our mistakes, when we actually go to God about what we're dealing with and say, God, I can't deal with this addiction on my own. I can't deal with this pain on my own. I need a strength that's stronger than mine to help me get rid of it, and I need a strength that's stronger than mine to help me break it.
And like you said earlier, some people might be so worried about what other people are gonna say because they went through this addiction or because they're addicted to this. You weren't, and like you said earlier, you're never the first person to get addicted to something. It was millions of people who were addicted before you, and it was millions who were addicted and came to God, asked for forgiveness, got help, and are no longer addicted. addicted. So there's nothing wrong with saying, God, I'm addicted. People may look at you, people may judge you, but at the end of the day, those other people who judged you, they're not the ones who decide whether you go to heaven or to hell. That's God's decision. So that's the only judgment that matters.
Ooh, that's deep. Like we worry too much about like this human can do or what this human can do, but they don't have the power, they don't have the authority to send us to heaven or hell. They don't have that type of authority over our lives.
That's why one saying that I love, might be because of how much I like movies and stuff like that, and it's kind of overused in movies, is the I fear no man who's not God. That's a real thing. It's not even a tough guy thing. What I feel like that means when it says I fear no man who's not God, it's not just oh, I'm scared, or oh, a threat or something like that. It's I don't fear what you can do to me, what you can say to me. I don't care how you can hurt me financially, physically, status wise, because whatever you can do, God could do 10 times more, 1,000 times more. Whatever you do to try to push me back, he can lift me right back up.
Exactly. Like you ever seen somebody laughing at someone in a bad position? That person got put in the same position?
Yeah.
Example, you really never know what somebody's going through. And you pick on that person, you become like that person.
Yeah.
Crazy how the world works. Earlier in the video, I was talking about ways that you could like decrease the severity of the addiction or just get rid of it. One, we said praying. Another one, whatever you can do to stay away from it. Oh yeah, there was something else too. Remember how you were talking about social media and everything? This topic I'm about to say will be in a whole nother video, but you think fasting is important as far as addiction?
So fasting for religious reasons or fasting for an addiction?
I mean, I feel like it really depends how you look at it.
Are you asking me if fasting is important for an addiction or for religion?
In this case, we'll just talk about addiction.
Okay, I would say no. I feel like, because in my mind, when you fast, you're essentially not doing something for a period of time. So I like the idea of fasting for an addiction. I just feel like it's the wrong word to use, because some people, they hear fasting and you think, oh, okay, I'm just not going to do it for a certain amount of time, and then I can go do it right after. So I feel like it gives
discipline. You think that's a better word?
Yes, that's the perfect word. It takes discipline to overcome an addiction.
Is that all the verses you had? That was all the verses I had too. But I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. Thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, this is the Powered by Christ podcast. My name is Malachi Jones, and today I filmed with
Jalen Benany.
And that's all I gotta say for today. Make sure y'all follow me on my Instagram at MalWorldWide with 2 E's. Make sure y'all follow me on my TikTok at MalWorldWide with 2 E's. Also, I'm an artist. I make Christian music. My Christian artist name is MalWorldWide. I have a song releasing this month called Move Through Me. Stay tuned for that, because I'm gonna post about it. All my social media is gonna be called Move Through Me. Next month, releasing a Christian EP. Gonna have 8 songs on it. Make sure whenever I put it out for pre-save, make sure y'all pre-save it. Make sure y'all copy it and pre-save it. When I'm gonna drop a Christian EP next month. Make sure y'all stay tuned for that. That's all I got to say. Make sure y'all stay prayed up, stay close to God. Peace
I
out.
got survived the hardest trenches. Time to stand tall. I got tired of staying on them bitches. Peel back door, I can't keep them close to me like wrenches. Catching on myself from where I'm from, I had to use my senses.